brought up?
100%.
Yeah.
Or is it just...
I think it's past
it's
progress.
fair play for everyone?
Nah, it's different for everyone. I feel like some people are conditioned in a certain way because of stuff that happened in the past. So, for example, I feel like we've all got cabinets in our minds, and in those cabinets we've got files. So whenever you're gonna take action on something, let's say you're at the shops, you see something nice, you're gonna before you take any action, you're gonna go straight to your mind in the file cabinet labelled money, and whatever file you've got in there, that's gonna basically be what you're gonna do in that situation, whether you're gonna buy it or not. So if you grew up in like poverty, for example, with parents that didn't really buy you nothing, you might have saw something nice but you couldn't afford it. So you didn't really spend money. But let's say you've grown up, you've got money now, but because of the way you were raised, you've been conditioned to not spend. So if you see something nice, you don't spend.
Yeah,
so you're at the shop.
Save. That's why.
Nah, I see the opposite way around.
Nah.
Like, you know what, people who didn't have money,
Yeah, that's
when
what
they get
I'm
money,
saying. When they get money, they want to buy it.
That's what everyone does. That's what everyone does. I feel like you have to reprogram yourself. You need to get rid of those non-supportive files you might have had in the past. Because if you don't, then you're just going to constantly get liabilities all the time. Because you might be in debt, but because you have no file on your head telling you that when you're in debt, don't spend money on things that are not going to produce any benefit for you. You're just going to keep doing it, and you're just going to get in more debt and into more debt. But then there's some people that they might grew up in poverty. Now they got money. Now they're wasting it. But yeah, it's not everyone. Like, there's a lot of people that act in opposite ways. But yeah, I feel like that's how it is for a lot of people. When you're conditioned, that's how you act now.
What do you guys think?
I feel like the youth, like people my age, they don't know how to manage money, but it's not their fault. It's because they don't get taught. Like, obviously people say this a lot, like, oh, they don't teach money management in school and stuff like that. But people, they don't understand the value of it. Young people, because until they start working for money, that's when they start realizing like the true value of it. Like, oh, this is X hours of my day. This is gonna cost me this. Because most people, when they start working, they're working like an hourly wage. So what is it, like maybe like £10 an hour. So say you want to go buy something for £80 and it's like, I don't know, like a t-shirt or something. You're thinking this costs 8 hours of my day and I'm putting it into this. That's when you start realizing. That's when you start clocking like, oh, money. You actually have to think smart.
£8 is crazy.
When people get to that age, that's what I'm saying. When people get to the age where they start clocking it, like it's too late. Like it's too late. They're already maybe at uni or something. They're probably already in debt and they've got no money. That's why I feel like the younger generation, they need to start managing wealth and knowing about wealth, knowing how to manage it from a younger age. Yeah,
and I also feel like it depends on your parents as well. You might have parents that spoil you, just give you money, so you don't know how to manage it because you grew up in a home where if you ask your mum for £100, she'll give it to you. Like, you get everything.
Wait, what house is that?
Just keep it.
Trust me, keep it.
Like a bill.
Trust me.
A bill. You're
More.
Listen, you see at school.
I know girls that can go, oh, Dad, send me £100 and they'll do it right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
When I was in secondary school, I used to sell at school. I used to sell sweets and stuff like that. And the same customers will come to me with £500 every day. I'm just thinking, where they get this money from? And then they get it from their parents. So they just waste it all. They don't learn the true value of money because they just get given it. But when they start working for it, they realise that they have to work a certain amount of hours to get it.
That's not a problem, you know. For people that already have money like that, it's not going to affect them. But the problem is, for people that don't have money like that and they're not getting taught, then they're going to be stuck in poverty.
I think it's going to affect everyone. I think first of all I would say is, with those ones that are getting the money when they ask for it, one of the reasons why the parents might be doing something like that is because they're like, do you know what, let me give this person money, let me give my child money, so they don't start searching for it somewhere else and they start doing some craziness, if they have it to spare. But also, the catch-22 of that is, you don't even know, those parents there taking out loans or going into debt just so they can support their child. I've seen that it's got a lot more crazy. Like, for you guys' generation and my generation, you guys dress so much better than I dressed at your ages. There's no way, like, Mum, I need some new Nikes. Boy, you better get a job. That's what I would. That's the response I would have got.
That's the thing.
And and then some of the people, some of the young boys that I see, I'm like, bro, like, I know I make more money than you because you're still a child or whatever. How are you dressing better than me? What's going on? I don't understand. Like,
That's a very good question. question.
Priorities.
The priorities are wrong.
Priorities. They don't know how to. They don't know how to manage. They don't know
image.
Straight for image.
That's what I'm saying.
But where does that come from though? That's a programming still. Like
it's the way
I'll tell you what
society
it is. Yeah, it's like they see these influencers and they see people online and they're trying to be like them. They're not focusing on themselves and how to better themselves. Like people care more about how other people view them than what they actually are. So when it comes to like, oh, I'm gonna present this image of say I'm rich, people would rather other people think they're rich than them actually being rich. You know what I'm saying?
So is that programming again then?
No, you know what? It might not always
to an extent,
it might not always be programming for like, because like when I was younger, I couldn't really ask my parents for money because they didn't have the money to give. Now that I've gone older, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna go out my way and do something like illegal to get money. Instead, I've like trained my mindset, I've changed my mentality. I understand that like there's different ways of getting it legitly. You don't have to necessarily work a 9 to 5 to get money. You can find a side hustle or some sort of way of generating income.
Yeah.
So you just really have to just train your mind to get past like the way you were brought up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now on the topic of like programming, like I've realised in the past few years when I've started like my newsletter, like learning more about Wi-Fi money and stuff like that, I've started thinking about things differently. Like for example, like maybe a few years ago when I was in like, I don't know, year 8, year 9, I was thinking, oh, I want to go to the best unis in the world, I want to go Oxford, I want to go Cambridge, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to get a degree in economics, whatever. Now I'm thinking about it, like now I've finished school and I'm thinking, like I don't even want to go uni like that. Like I don't need to go uni. Like there's people more successful than people that went to Oxford and Cambridge. They have no degrees, they have no nothing. And the thing that like people aren't realising is when you go to uni, you're learning to be an employee. You might go to a great university and get a great job, but at the end of the day, that's still a job. You're making what, maybe 60,000 a year, but you're working 9 to 5. You're working every single day. And a lot of jobs that are making 60k, they're working a lot more than 9 to 5. They're working out of hours. They're working extra hours. When they get home, they're working from home instead of spending time with their kids. Like you're working, you're making money, but you're not enjoying life. Like the real goal, the real flex is to be making money, but not be bound by no restrictions. Be financially free. You can go, you can spend time with your kids. You can go visit your mum. You can do whatever you need to do, and money's still coming in. Like there's a thing that I heard was like, if you don't start making money while other people are sleeping, you'll be working for ages or something like that. I don't know, but you need to start making money without working, and that's the only way you can really be happy and live a good lifestyle.
It's true, but it depends on certain people's upbringing as well. Like, for example, my background, obviously, my parents, they want me to go to school, go to university afterwards. After university, find the best job and stuff like that. But it got to a certain point in my life where I realised, why am I going to go to uni? I'm going to spend, 50k on uni.
Get in debt.
Just to go in debt. Not just in debt, but once I finish my my degree or whatever it is I'm doing, what job am I going to have? I'm not going to go straight into a job. I have to be looking for a job after that.
That's a mad
And
point.
then, obviously, there's other people. Like me, thankfully, I've changed the way my mindset is now. I'm trying to find the best way to say this. It's a good way to say it. I put my thoughts away from the system in the sense of I've taken myself out of that equation. I'm not in the system. I'm still in the system. I want to find a way out of the system.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's a mad point what you just said about programming. Yeah, like not like now you think that now that you think about it, it's not just the problem that we're being programmed or we've been programmed to think a certain way. It's our parents have been programmed, and our parents are thinking like back in our parents' lifetime, this is what you had to do. Like you had to work to try and get into uni. Once you get into uni, get a good job, get a job, save up and buy a house. That's it. That's all they're thinking. That's how they've been programmed.
Getting a mortgage on that house.
And they've lived 30 years, 40 years, maybe even 50 years. So the fact that they've been programmed like that and they've had 30 years of life experience, you can tell them whatever you can tell. Like you can say, I can say to my mum, "Oh, nah, you don't need to go uni." Nothing that I say is changing that mindset of go uni, buy a house, because they've been that's been in their heads since, like for 30 years now, and that's the only way they think that they're gonna make it. So that's what they're gonna push on to you. Like now in the 21st century, it's so different to that. There's so many different ways of making it.
I would say, again, I'm playing Angel's Advocate all the time, innit? I would say both sides of it is programming.
That's true.
So go into school, go to uni, get a job, progress through your career. That being one set of programming. The other set of programming is forget the school system. It just makes... The reason I say programming is because everyone uses the same words.
For different things.
Everyone uses the same words. So if you're like thinking about entrepreneurship, when people are talking, a lot of them would say, oh, you're going to go to university, you're going to get in debt. You're going to... You won't have no free time because you'll be working 9 to 5 all the time. You'll make more money through entrepreneurship. There's loads of things that the same wording is used and stuff like that. But if I was to, and bear in mind I didn't go to university. Like everything I've done, I didn't go to university either. I dropped out of school when I was like 16, 17.
I remember you said that.
So I'm not an advocate for it, but I'm also not an advocate against it. So when I hear things like, oh, you're getting 50k worth of debt for university, I debunk that straight away. You pay back your student loan. Like
when you start making over like 27,000 or something.
Yeah, so
tax on that money as well.
But so really and truthfully,
most people don't even pay.
You don't even pay and that debt doesn't go on your credit file or anything like that. So it's not gonna stop you getting a mortgage. In terms of you can make more money, again, that's wrong because it depends on what you're doing, for your business and your job as well. There's a lot of people that, and I think I did a post on this the other day. There's a lot of people that are saying become an entrepreneur, but these times here, the people that tell you to become an entrepreneur are not making no paper. But what they're doing is
they're making money off telling you to become an entrepreneur.
And they can do that, or I can go and hire a car today. I can go and get some fake AP, and then take a nice picture with a camera that we've rented. I could have taken a whole day, taken loads of pictures, different outfits, forgot from ASOS or whatever, and then returned every single outfit because the label's still on it. Got my money back, I didn't spend nothing, and I post those pictures for the whole year.
That's one thing I will say.
You have to be careful.
Be careful what you see online because.
It's not as easy as that.
People say, like, loads of people are anti-university and that, but when you think about it, university gives you stability. If you're, like, going through the university path and getting a job path, gives you a lot more stability than being an entrepreneur. Like, if you go to university, you're getting a job after, you're employed, so you're going to be getting a salary. When you're an entrepreneur, you're not going to be making the same amount of money every single month. Like, it's not stable. Yeah. You don't know. Yeah. And a lot of times, like, people that you see online, they're just trying to get your money. You know what
exactly. And you're with your business, you remember there's you can come. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen so many times. I know people who have retired, and they weren't an entrepreneur, but they retired early, just through their job. Yeah. Because they actually got a good job, paid them well, and on top of that, like when I say paid them well, the average salary for a UK citizen is around 30k at the moment.
30k.
It's 30k.
I thought it was like 20.
Yeah, that's what I was about.
No, it's gone up. So before it was 20, it was 26k.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
So now it's 30. It's actually 31, but yeah, let's just say 30 to make it easier. So now. People, I've seen people on about 35k live a better life than someone who calls himself an entrepreneur. Because what they do is they've got a 35k job, living good life. As in, when I say good life, they work 9 to 5. They're not a minute past 5, not a minute before 9 o'clock. That's it. They got their weekends.
What a life.
Yeah, and then after work from 5 to whenever they wake up the next day or whatever. They're doing their own thing. They go on holidays all the time, but they manage their money well on 35k. And then I've seen people who, they make the same thing through their business, 35k a year through their business, but they're working Monday to Sunday. From the time they wake up to the time they go sleep, just to make the same amount of money.
Sleepless nights.
So but the thing is, if you have your own business or you're investing or whatever like that, and it bangs, then you can work 1 day a week.
True, but
So it's a bigger risk, but the reward is a lot better.
That's one thing I'm gonna say.
The
like
reward
one
is
thing
much better.
that I always say to people is like, be careful what you see online, because loads of times you'll see these influencers and these huge like people just saying things. Like, don't actually listen to it, because something that a lot of people say is like, oh, I don't want to get trapped in a rat race. I don't want nothing about the rat race. But if you think about it, really and truly, what do you need to start a business? Whatever business you start, you're gonna need like at least a small amount of capital. Instead of having the mindset of, oh, I don't want to work a 9 to 5, I don't want to be trapped in a rat race. Why don't you adopt the mindset of like using the rat race to your advantage? So say you do go uni and you get a 9 to 5 and you land a graduate job making, I don't know, 25k a year. You can use that money to invest in your business. You can do both. Stop saying, oh, I don't want to get trapped in a rat race, I don't want to get trapped in a 9 to 5, and say like use the 9 to 5, use the rat race to your advantage.
You know what? To be honest, uni has its pros. It has its pros and its cons. Like with uni, it's a life.
And you can get, by the way, sorry to cut you off, but you can get a job without going to uni as well.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So yeah.
Like, but uni, it comes with like experience. Like you learn, especially when you move out to go live near the uni, you learn different things about yourself. You spend a lot of time with yourself. You have to cook, clean, do everything yourself. So you learn a lot of attributes that you might not necessarily learn if you were to just live at home and work and do a job. But a con of uni is that when you finish uni, you don't necessarily get straight into the job you want to get into.
No.
You need that.
Something like 80% of uni graduates don't get the job they want.
Yeah, that's a crazy stat. That's a crazy stat. And the thing is, like, most of these companies these days prefer people with experience. So, like, let's say you done an apprenticeship whilst you were 16, compared to someone who went uni at like 19. They're rather gonna take you on because you've got more experience. You've got at least 5 years more experience compared to the uni student. They've just got a diploma to present, but you've got actual experience in the company, so they'll rather take you on. It makes more sense. But yeah, uni does have its advantages.
Yeah, I think all of them have their advantage. But if we take it back to what we said about programming, I think with like I would say in terms of programming, I always say this to people that are like my age, my generation. We have to remember that when for our parents, so my parents, and it might be the same for you guys, they're most of the time they're first generation in this country. So they just did what they needed to do to get us to certain things. So they just came here to survive. That's it. So when we're telling them about, hey, mum, you need to invest in crypto, like just
look at you.
Like,
They don't understand.
What are you talking about, man? I'm gonna invest in bricks and water. Okay, that's nice, but okay, for me, I'm not even gonna say crypto because I don't invest in crypto. So I'm just putting it out there, disclaimer. I don't invest. I invest in something that I would say I'm an accountant by nature. So what I mean by that is accountants are very careful with what they do with certain things. So with something like crypto, I saw it go too much up and down.
Yeah, it's volatile.
I didn't like it at all, and my heart's too weak. It's like putting money in.
Everyone's got the same.
Crypto's for the younger generation. That's why. Crypto's for the younger generation.
They like taking risks.
I have no. I'm 16. I have no like financial. Like I'm still living at home. I have no obligations. I have nothing to do. Like crypto is the perfect thing. The volatility is amazing. Like I love it.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. So I remember I was like, right, man, I got to pay my mortgage. This thing better go up.
That's not the one.
If you lost it all, then you're gonna be in a sticky situation. But for us, if we lost it all, we can just start again, and we'll also learn as well.
So that's why I think some part of me don't think it's actually programming. I think it's just different generations can take different chances and stuff like that. So at the moment, you guys can take a lot of chances that I wouldn't necessarily take. So I'll invest in stocks a lot, and a lot, especially in the index funds, because I know that's quite steady. The return might not be as high as if I invested in crypto, but it's quite steady with the stocks and property as well. Like those would be the two areas. Bricks and mortar is always going to be around. I understand when the parents save something like that, you're always going to have property around. Where else are we living unless we go to the moon or something like that? But I do. There's so many times I've spoken to my mum, and I can see that it's a programming, but it's also a survival technique. So you learn to survive a certain way. So there's no way you can teach me about this. And that's why you have mentorship and coaching and teachers and stuff like that. There's no way my mum can teach me about certain things. So it's not actually necessarily their fault. The ones that I say is their fault is more like the schooling system.
They're the biggest program.
Yeah, because for me, the schooling system is not adapting. If it was adapting with the way that the world was adapting, then I'd be like, no, okay, you know, it makes sense. Like, obviously, part of what I do is go into schools and teach young people about money management. But even to do that, so you know how much of a hassle it is to get a school to let you come in and teach that. And you think, what's going on? Like,
people say this a lot about schools. They didn't teach you about money. They didn't teach you about finances. But to a certain extent, it makes sense because like that's something that you have to go find out yourself. Because if everyone was taught and everyone knew, then everyone would be rich, and that's just not how it works. That can't be possible. So for the elites that are trying to like protect their wealth, it's not in their benefit to like put it in the schooling system.
Yeah.
And I feel like even for like us or people that are trying to succeed and be successful and create wealth, it's not in our benefit either if everyone knows about it and if everyone's doing it, because there's going to be a lot less opportunities. I feel like if you actually have the motivation and the dedication, because when you're hustling, when you're trying to create wealth, like you're learning lessons, you're learning important lessons. And I feel like the fact that it's not taught in the schooling system is actually a blessing in disguise, because you have to go and actually go find it yourself. You have to be disciplined, you have to be dedicated, you have to put the work in to actually make it.
But imagine, okay, again, let me just do the other side. Imagine you're a person who doesn't even have access, like you're living on poverty level so much that you don't have access to a computer.
Yeah.
So you don't even know, there's no way of you actually learning, like but so the system is almost designed for you to keep you there.
Yeah.
And for those kind of people it's not fair. For the people that have the opportunities, then yeah, let's not get it twisted. Like, you've got the same opportunities as me, why didn't you go and find out about this? Like, you could have like learned how to build wealth. And then when I talk about teaching in schools, I'm not talking about teaching someone how to do investing.
Yeah.
For me, that's something you go and find out outside. But basic things like, okay, when you leave school or when you go to university, you might have to rent. This is how you pay rent. This is how you pay your bills. Just basic things like that. Because I remember my mum always had a rule that when you get to 18, you either go to university or you move out.
Yeah,
that's the only two options you have. And that was literally the reason she had that is because at 18 you need to grow. So if you live with me, then you won't grow. So that's why you have to go to university and you stay on campus so you can learn to look after yourself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then I have the privilege of having those two options. Someone else might not. Like, I know, for example, in Nigeria right now, the teachers and everything have been on strike for 6 months because no one's getting paid. So no schools have been open. So we do live in a privilege.
Yeah, to an extent. You see, the government, like, he's the one that's really making money from all of this, because schools, obviously, they prepare you for 9 to 5. You might think that you've landed a good job, you're getting good pay, but you're just making your boss richer. The more you work, the more promotions you get, the more liabilities you end up getting as well, depending on how you manage your finances. But at the end of the day, with tax and all them things there, the government is the one that's eating off you. So that's probably another reason why in schools they don't teach these topics. They don't want you to escape that 9 to 5 route. They want you to stay in it, because at the end of the day, as Pedro said, the elites are the ones that are going to be making money from all of this.
I don't hate on it though.
You don't hate on it?
I don't hate on it.
No, but I don't hate on it.
I'm like,
that's good for us as well.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you've got that ambition and the dedication and the drive, like,
you'll go out and
you can make it. You'll go and get it. And I feel like, bro, if you think about it, what would you rather be? Would you rather have been born into wealth and just made wealth, or born into absolutely nothing and made wealth? Like, it's a much better story.
Yeah,
Think about it, yeah.
Do you know how rich I'll be if I was born into wealth?
But you know that you've worked. Maybe you wouldn't. That's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm trying to say.
It depends.
You think now, oh, if I was born into wealth, I would have. Bro, if you were born into wealth, you would have probably been at parties or.
In my head, I'm thinking like this.
I'm thinking I was
born into wealth, but with the same mentality I have now.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I'm trying to think
most
of.
of the
Yeah,
people
People that are born into wealth won't have that.
yeah.
To give you an example, you see in Power how you see how you got Ghost, yeah. You know how he died, and then you got Tariq. And Tariq, he didn't really necessarily inherit Ghost's wealth because Ghost made in his will that he has to go uni and get a certain grade before he can have anything. So then Tariq, he had to work for it. So not necessarily everyone that's born into wealth just goes out and party. Some people that are born into wealth use that wealth to accelerate themselves, maybe their own business or something that they're interested in. Not everyone really thinks the same. It just really depends.
That's what I was gonna say, because I've seen the other side of that, where like someone who's born into wealth, or a group of people that are born into wealth, and their parents will send them to private school. You have to go to this university. You have to do that if you want this inheritance.
You have to work for it.
You have to, exactly, like, yeah. But there are some people, I can't lie, there was one time, like this, and this story is mad. I remember I went out one time, this guy, the person I was seeing, she was quite upper class, like proper, like her parents were, like her parents had a house next to Rooney's house. It was mad. Anyway, we went out to this restaurant, and this guy, just to show off, he got a £50 note out and he burned it. Like, I didn't slap him.
£50?
I didn't slap him. I was like, so I hear what you're saying. There's some people that just wasting money.
If you're born into wealth and you make wealth, it's nothing. Like, that's why people say, "Oh, I wish I was like just born in." Like, no, you don't. Like, if you're just born into it, like, it's not the same feeling as like you knowing, "Oh, like, I had nothing and I hustled and I grinded and I worked for it and now I'm at this position." Like, even the feeling you get within yourself, because it's not just about like money, because there's people with money that are unhappy. Like, if you know yourself that you had nothing and you made something, you're gonna feel that within yourself. You're gonna feel that within your mindset. Like, you're gonna be a happier person. Like, you're gonna feel successful.
Yeah. Then again, I feel like there's two sides to it. It can be beneficial or it can be unbeneficial, because there's some people they're born into wealth, but then again they have to work before they can get any type of benefit, and when they work towards it and they get it, they might feel happy with themselves, just as someone who didn't have nothing, they worked for it, and then when you get to that point, you're happy with yourself. It could be the same with them, just that they had more of a head start, but they might have the same feeling as we do. So not everyone's really the same in terms of, I was born into a wealthy family, that means that I'm just gonna get thrown all this money and stuff like that. I still have to work for it. But it's not the same for everyone. It's different for all people. Yeah.
But I do hear what Pedro is saying, because there are a lot of people that are rich because of their parents.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's it. And then
I've seen a lot of people like that.
That's for me. That's old money.
Yeah.
That money will keep going through generations and generations.
Exactly, it's there and it's not.
But the new money is coming. Like, is overtaking that old money. Yeah. Like, there's gonna be a time when there's gonna be a shift. Because the people that have control over the old money, they're going to die and everything. And there's going to be a shift. Yeah. And the ones that are now owning it, like their sons, their daughters and stuff like that, they're going to lose it.
And that's why
and then the new money's just going to come through, new gen wealth, like you said.
Old money, like.
It makes sense.
You see people, like, old money people, like, 60, 70, trying to push their kids, like they're trying to put their kids on, to learn everything that they learn, everything that they need. You see it a lot, like people, like upper class, middle class, like people that are well off, they try and push it on their kids. Yeah. And their kids sometimes like don't know nothing. They can't learn the lessons because they haven't been taught the lessons by their family. Like I feel like struggle is necessary. Like I feel like being lower down in society or being in a point where you've had to struggle at one point in your life is more beneficial than just being born into wealth.
Yeah, it makes you more hungry.
It makes you more hungry. That's what I'm saying.
There's a saying, something like the wolf at the bottom of the mountain is hungrier than the one that's at the top of the mountain.
I've never heard that phrase.
Yeah, so basically,
it makes sense.
So the one at the bottom is more hungry than the one at the top. The one at the top is dead. It's dead.
Exactly, and you get complacent. You get complacent. That's what I'm saying. Like, and what happens when old money people die? Like what happened? When the old money, the people that are managing it, the people that know how to make it, what happens when they die? Their kids don't know, like their kids don't know nothing. Their kids don't care. They're just spending the money. They don't care about making it. Then they're gonna be in a problem.
Do you know what? That's why for me, I remember one of the places where I worked. It was the directors were like a group of like old white men, and every Friday they used to stay in the office, get a few beers, and I used to notice the deal all the time. Can't lie, I thought, nah, you guys are making paper. I remember one time I went Tesco's, got like 20 crates of beer. I took it up to them. And I was like, oh, guys, got some beer. They're like, oh yeah, Mike, sit down in it. I did it every Friday. But it was like to listen to what they're saying.
Yeah. And networking.
And for me, that's when I clocked about network. Because when I found out how they got their jobs, I was like, rah. So it was like
none of you had to do what I did.
Didn't have to
you have like your dad's friend, your mom's hairdresser.
Uncle. That was literally it. It was like one person came in and he brought all of them in. And I was like, that's mad.
Don't even talk about
no interview or nothing.
It's not about what you know. Like no one cares what you know. It's about who you know. It's literally about who you know. You can do anything if you have the right contacts.
And then
having contacts goes higher than any sort of application you can do online. Like bro, say you want to work at like a law firm or something, and you apply online. Like bro, how many other people are applying?
If you know someone,
if you know the director of like admissions or whatever, and you call them, like they're your parents' friend or something. You have a much bigger chance.
Yeah, of course.
Easy access.
Of course. But that's why we also, I know we're going off topic, but we also need to own our own businesses and stuff as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Because then we can bring our own people in as well.
That's what I'm saying.
In the process.
Yeah.
Because it's like a cycle. It's like a cycle, innit? Like low. If you're lower class, you're gonna have low class friends. You're gonna be surrounded by low class people. What are they gonna bring you into?
Nothing.
What are they gonna bring you into? If you're high class and you have high class friends, they can bring you into this business and that and this firm and whatever.
Different investments.
That's why it's like you're kind of trapped. Like we talk about in England there's like a lot of class mobility and you can make it from the bottom, but it's still hard. Like it's still hard. People are still trapped.
Yeah, but in the UK there's a lot of opportunities to be honest. But
more than anywhere else anyway, at least. Alright boys.